Well, it's happened. The day that Indian cricket fans have been waiting for almost a decade, maybe even more than a decade. 17 years since the last time India has won a T20 World Cup. The last time they won a World Cup was 2011. It's been an amazing turn of events for the Indian cricket fans. It's happened finally. Virat Kohli has completed cricket, white ball cricket, if you want, and he's made himself the man of the match, the player of the match for this final. India has won the T20 World Cup of 2024, unbeaten, undefeated, a perfect record in this World Cup. And what's more to say except for congratulations to the Indian cricket fans, to the Indian cricket team, and to all of their supporters. My name is Nazar Sayed. You're listening to Backward Point, and today is a solo podcast. I think we hinted at this before. Bashar has decided to be a recluse. He has abandoned all modern life. He's shifted into the woods of Muskoka, Ontario, and currently he's under the stars camping with his friends. He did not say when he'd make a comeback. Maybe never. I did give him the news. I did break it to him because he was on a social media blackout and a data internet blackout, so he wasn't really in touch with what was going on. He did tell me, let him know what happened at the end. I sent him a text message. All I got was an okay. So that's where we're at with Bashar. But it's gonna be fun. This is a new thing for me. I've never done a solo podcast before. I have made YouTube videos on my own channel, but this is a bit different because this is all raw and unedited and straight to the point. One thing I do want to mention before I get started into this podcast is that we're very close to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're at 49.8 at the time of recording this episode. And I really want you guys to come out and support us. There's a vast majority of you guys that listen to us on YouTube, and even a big majority of those people who just are not subscribed. So I would really appreciate if we could hit that milestone and make it another step towards the 100K mark. You guys can always check out our Patreon, our Discord server, everywhere. Like this was the time actually to be a part of the Discord server, which is absolutely free. You can join it. Links are in below, and you can just be in a community with like-minded cricket fans that are non-toxic, having a blast, and just enjoying their cricket. So that's something I'm really proud of. And again, you guys want to get in touch with us, join the community in a monetary way, then you can always check out Patreon. And we do a monthly live call, which we'll be scheduling soon after this World Cup, and just getting to connect with everybody and getting their thoughts on this momentous win. Because actually, it is surprisingly insane how important this win was for certain individuals, and we'll get to that for sure. Let's talk about the game really quickly first. So it was held in Bridgetown in Barbados. It was not a full crowd, which was interesting to me, maybe because of the way that the game was in the daytime. There were signs of rain, etc., etc. So the toss was won by India, and they elected to bat first. Initially, it felt like it might have been the wrong decision just because of the way that the wickets fell. They were, at one point, they were 34 for 3, with Surya Kumar Yadav being the most recent departee. And at 4.3 overs, it seemed like the match was slipping out of their hands. And then Virat Kohli turned it on. And by turn it on, I mean, he took his time. There was a lot of criticism online and in the circles that I was in, and in the Discord server as well, about how slow Virat Kohli's innings was. I think this Virat Kohli innings is a testament to the temperament that VK has when he's out there batting. He's had an abysmal tournament. Apart from this one innings, he was 75 runs in the past 6 matches at an average of like 10, strike rate of like 120, 130. It was not good, and it wasn't looking really well for him in this game as well. But the one thing that I did notice when Virat Kohli came out to bat, he was aggressive, but not in the I'm going to smash every single ball for 6 kind of way, like he was against Pakistan or like he was against other teams. This sort of aggression was a lot more tempered and a lot more controlled. Like he was flicking the ball when he needed to. He was playing the on drive. He was cutting the ball. And that was a lot more. That's the Virat Kohli that we know. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It was tempered. It was patient. and it was the right knock required for that moment. Sharma gave, like, he was throwing his bat at everything, and eventually, when you play that aggressive of a game, you do fall for something very ordinary. I feel like the way that Rohit Sharma got out, it wasn't. He could have stayed there for a lot longer than he actually was. And imagine in Rohit Sharma staying there till the end of the power play. This final score of 176 could have probably been 200. Um, but I feel like the way that India bounced back after Rishabh Pant was out, after Surya Kumar Yadav was out, that's the one where I think that the rebuilding process and why someone like Virat Kohli is so important and so essential to a group like this. Akshar Patel was the one who came as the aggressor. He hit 47 off 31, four sixes and a four. His strike rate was 151 when he got out. That that was what Virat Kohli needed on the other end. Somebody to be the aggressor while he was just punching runs, getting a run a ball, and making sure that the other person gets as many balls as possible. And Akshar Patel came out and he did what he wanted to do. His run out, very similar to the run out in, I feel like, the 2019 World Cup, if I remember correctly, Martin Guptill's throw from third man to MS Dhoni. If I'm remembering that correct, I think it was very similar, very close on both occasions. And those are the moments where you know that you got to be vigilant. You got to be quick. You got to be on your feet. And you cannot give those wickets away. And India did it twice. Once in 2019, got knocked out. And the way that the stars were shining for South Africa today, I thought that was probably the game. And Hardik Pandya came in. Shivam Dubey also gave him Kohli a good start. He was actually there making sure that the runs kept ticking over and he wasn't bogging down the strike rate. Once Virat Kohli hit his 50, it was game over after that, wasn't it? He was going down the ground, a very reminiscent shot of a mid-on six, of which Pakistani fans would remember the Shaheen Shah Afridi shot in the 2022 World Cup. He was really taking the offensive back at South Africa, and they ended up at 176, which I felt like was a very respectable total for what they were at initially. At 4.3 overs, they were 34 for 3, ending it at 176 for 7. For a final, that's the highest total ever made in a final, and that's none of that. That total was never chased. The highest chase, I believe, was at 150 or odd, and I felt like India was in a position where they could relax a little bit. And the way that they came out from the other side, trying to bowl, man, okay, we got to talk about Arshdeep and we got to talk about Bumrah. I think as a Pakistan cricket fan, the most important thing to realize is that there used to be a time, decades actually, where Pakistanis, if not in other areas of cricket, dominated in fast bowling. There was a whole generation that's come and gone that relied on Pakistani fast bowling. They were the number one in Asia, at one point number one in the world. And I think that crown has been taken back by India. India's fast bowling attack with Shami, with Arshdeep, with Bumrah, and it's insane. And with Siraj as well. Sorry, that's the name I was thinking about. And Pandya. I mean, these 5 players single-handedly give such a huge boost to the Indian bowling attack that any score seems defendable. And that was the case here. Arshdeep was bang on his money right off the top. He was the one who was controlling how the innings was going, and Bumrah came in getting Reza Hendricks and making sure that Aiden Markram doesn't come out and score a lot. Aiden Markram, by the way, having a really, really horrible tournament throughout this tournament. Even though South Africa found itself into the final, it was not his partnership into in those victories not as potent as he would like, and a lot of soul searching for Aiden Markram for sure when it comes to that. Tristan Stubbs came out like he was going to finish the game single handedly. He played maybe one shot too many. That was maybe a bit too improvising for his own good. Clean bowled in him. Akshar Patel was the one who got his wicket. Akshar Patel bowling really smartly, actually. He was following him around, and he noticed that whenever he was making room, that if you just pitched it fuller, closer to the stumps, it was going to be out. I wish I did that in a recent game. I had a very similar situation, and I'm a wrist spinner, but I have that Shahid for the shooter, and there was this guy who did the same shuffle that Stubbs did, And instead of like shooting it at the stumps, I went like super wide on leg side and even beat the keeper and they stole 2 runs on a wide. But that reminded me of that moment because then again, Akshar Patel has the wherewithal to know that if this guy's going across, I'm going to dart it in, clean bowled him. That was my favorite wicket. Obviously, I'm going to come down to the Surya Kumar Yadav catch. Don't worry, that was the game for me, but I don't want to jump ahead. It was after Henry Classic came in, honestly, that things just were getting really, really bad for India really quickly. I think he scored 26 off of Akshar Patel's over. Just brutal hitting. He put the game on one side. At that point, I think they needed 10 and over. And after that over, it was done. South Africa needed 30 off 30 with Quinton de Kock standing there with David Miller. Sorry, with Klaassen. Apologies. And I thought it was over. 30 off 30, they were going to chase this in like with 2 overs to spare. In my head, that's what I'm thinking. And then Pandya comes in. And he gets Klaassen out on the first ball. And that's where the choke started. Now, I don't like using this word a lot. I think it's quite disrespectful. But that being said, this was a choke job. This was as clear as a choke job that I've seen since Pakistan versus India, where Pakistan had 47 on the board, needed off 47 balls, choked it. This was a worse job. This was the final. They needed at one point 26 off 27 or 27 off 28. They were under a run a ball. Explain it to me. South Africans, please explain to me what happened. I have theories, which I'll get into. I probably am spot on with my theories, and a lot of people will agree with me that this is exactly the way that it was supposed to go down with the form that Bumrah was in, and the form that Arshdeep was in, and the form that Pandya found in the later part of his spell. This was gonna happen. And after Klaassen went out, it nosedived. It literally did. And you can see it right here. 17 off 21 for David Miller. I'll get to his wicket. Marco Jansen, 2 runs off 4 balls. Keshav Maharaj, 2 runs off 7 balls. And then Rabad hit a edged 4 off his 3 balls. And that was it. You just add those balls up. And that's the difference between them chasing it and then not chasing it. Mind you, India won by 7 runs. 7 runs. That means that these balls that were dots, pure example of economical bowling and disciplined bowling by Bumrah and Arshdeep and Pandya. And I thought they were still in the game with 16 to left in the last 6 balls in the last over. I've seen weirder things happen. And with David Miller on strike, with the wickets down that they were, with Pandya there, not having the best form with the ball, honestly, I thought it was game on. I thought one boundary, a 4 or a 6, and I think the tides shifted towards South Africa, and they could have probably sealed it. Fun fact. I think it was 2019 where David Miller came for the JT20. And I was sitting at square leg with my brother. I was there as well. And I saw some of the best hitting that I've seen in my life. Cleanest hitting. Pure willow to leather contact. The sound off the bat. The echo that the ball makes when it ricochets from the bat. Like just pure ecstasy when it comes to hitting. It was because of David Miller in that GT20. And I was under the impression that I was going to get something very similar in this last over. Now, my allegiances lies with the underdog. So it kept swaying. So when India was 34 for 3, I was like, I really want these guys to win. I hope they get to like 160, 170. And then they did. And then at that point, I felt like the pendulum switched towards South Africa being the underdogs and then started chasing. And then so I was topsy-turvy. But at this point, I think after the demolition of Heinrich Klaassen against Akshar Patel, I was at South Africa. I was like, they deserve it. India already has like 4 titles or 3 titles at this point. These guys have won 0 ICC trophies. I think they deserve it. I want David Miller to finish it off. I think it'll be really cool. In the back of my mind, I was still cognizant of the fact that Kohli and Sharma were probably playing the last tournament. I knew that. And so it was hard for me as a fan of the game and as a neutral person to reconcile with Do I want Kohli and Sharma to get this last chip so they can go out with a bang? Or do I want these guys who've never made it to a final to get it so it's like a brand new winner? And, it opens up the game a lot more. And that's why I was so happy when England won in 2019. But that was what I was thinking internally. That's the monologue I'm having, right? Pandya bowls, low full toss, outside off. And from the naked eye, first impression, when David Miller went for that swing, I thought it was six. And Ian Smith, another brilliant bouts of commentary from him. The moment that he just was on the mics, I knew that this could go anywhere. And the way he was calling it, I thought it went over. He said long off. And the way the angle was, and you guys know this, you couldn't tell what happened right off the bat. From the naked eye, you could not tell. Now, I screamed, as one would. Like, I'm pretty sure if Bashar saw it, he would scream as well. It was one of those high-octane moments, and Surya Kumar Yadav kept his cool. I think the catch that Surya Kumar Yadav caught, the David Miller catch, the first ball of the last over, that moment should be framed in the BCCI headquarters for life. That is raw fielding to its max. That is intention to win. That is the killer mindset, snatching it literally out of thin air so that your team could go over the line. And once that moment happened, once David Miller got caught the way he did, my entire allegiance shift towards India. I wanted them to win. They wanted it more. Their hands were not shaking. Their confidence was up there. And then I saw the bigger picture. We've talked about it many times on this podcast. The Qudrat ka Nizam that made Pakistan go into the finals in 2022. The supposed Qudrat ka Nizam that put Pakistan out of the finals or out of the World Cup for this year. All of that made sense to me. This World Cup was for Rohit and it was for Kohli and it was for Team India. The perfect run that they had, minor hiccups here and there, I felt like after that catch, they were the ones who deserved this win the most. And that's coming from a Pakistan cricket fan, guys. This is coming straight from the heart. Kohli deserved it. Sharma deserved it. Dravid deserved it. They deserve this win. And once that happened, because imagine this. Let's say that David Miller catch, 2 feet higher, goes over sky. It's a 6. They need 10 out of 5. You basically need 2 boundaries. And with David Miller on strike, with the way Pandya's form was going, after that shot, the confidence was going to be low. He's going to bowl bad balls. He's going to try to get wickets, which leads to mistakes, which leads to Miller being on defensive. Like, it could have gone South Africa's way easily if that shot went for 6. It did not. And after that happened, it was over. I think it was that moment which was the game for me. And then the final ball happened and India won by 7 runs. And for some reason, I felt extreme bouts of this emotional weight off of my shoulders. Like, look at this. As a Pakistan cricket fan, the rivalry with India, it's fun. It's really fun, especially the banter you have with fans online. This podcast, it's fun because you get to, poke fun at Indian fans and Indian fans get to poke fun at us. And, we've made friends with the guys at Sports Yadi. And then, I text Lakshya text. Like, it's just fun. When you keep it in like the bounds of respect, it's fun. So the one thing we always had against the Indian fans, the one thing that Pakistani fans had against the Indian fans was, hey guys, we beat you guys in the 2017 final and we have an ICC trophy, before you guys in the past 10 years. We have one, you guys have none. That was one thing that the Pakistani fans were always boasting about. And when that moment happened, when India won, that was the first realization that I had. That's gone. Everything's reset. It's a clear playing field now. And the past 2 weeks, the way that India has played, they are the clear winners and it's over. That bragging right that we had, it's gone. We have to do better as Pakistanis and as Pakistani cricket fans and as the Pakistani cricket team as well. That was the first realization. Second realization. Damn, this is Virat Kohli's last World Cup, isn't it? And you could feel it coming. And when the player of the match was given to Virat Kohli and it started raining and he came up to the mic and he was somber and you could see in his eyes that he was battling so many emotions and there was a tug and there was a pull. with what he wanted to say and what he wanted to do. And Harsha was there asking him these questions, and he went straight for it for the jugular, at least for me. And I found myself choking up at the fact that Virat Kohli is retiring from T20 cricket. Now, I know what this means. He's not retiring from all forms of cricket. There's red ball, there's ODI, but this is the first step in a three-step process. As Virat Kohli fans that I am, I'm a huge Virat Kohli fan. I've said it many times on this podcast. I've said it multiple times on social media. I think he's the best cricketer out there. He's the greatest of all time. He's changed the game. He's changed the culture. He's brought more professionalism into the game. This was the first time that I realized that he can go. Like he can leave the game. He has to leave. He will leave the game. I never realized that Virat Kohli would have to leave the game before the final happened. And now I am having an emotional and existential crisis where, like, one of the greatest moments of cricket, full stop, was the 2022 India-Pakistan game. I know people who are not cricket fans that watched that game. I know people who have never seen cricket ever and watched that game and were like, oh, this is insane. Now, I would have loved to be on the positive end of that, 100%. I'm not going to, shy away from my biases and my like for the Pakistan cricket team. But that was a victory that was all because of Virat Kohli and his will to get the W. And that's respect. I have to respect that. I respect professionalism. I respect people achieving greatness, striving for greatness. That's why Kobe is my idol. That's why Jordan is my idol. That's why even in this space, I try to incorporate as much of that mantra that I can in podcasting and writing and making these videos. I want to be the best. And it comes from that. And that's the hunger that I saw in Kohli. So the fact that that's not going to be the case in a few years, maybe 2 years, 3 years, max, maybe next year, that hit me. And I feel like that hit Kohli as well when he said those words. And I think this was the best send-off that Virat Kohli could have gotten. I think he, in my head, has completed cricket. Yeah, he doesn't have the test mace. That's fine. But white ball cricket is his domain, and he has perfected it. He has the Champions Trophy. He has the ODI World Cup, and now he has the T20 World Cup. There is nothing more that this man has to do in white ball to prove himself. And that itself is a great achievement. When Bashar does come back, I think we're going to be talking about Virat Kohli a lot more. My plan is to do a whole episode on Virat Kohli, his top 5 best T20 innings, and dedicate a whole episode on that, as well as the next person that I'm talking about, which is Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma is a freak. That's just as easy as I can put it. The way he bats is like he's batting in slow motion. Nobody pulls the ball better than him. Nobody hooks the ball better than him. Nobody flicks the ball better than him in modern day cricket. And the cherry on the top, he might be the best modern day captain that I've seen. Hands down. He had an extremely uphill task when he was given the captaincy in 2021, I believe, from Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli is the most beloved cricketer in India and in Pakistan, I guess, at this point. He's the most beloved cricketer in the world. And Rohit Sharma was the one following up that act. Imagine watching the greatest band ever play. Imagine watching the Beatles play, and then you have to go up there and you got to follow up the Beatles. It was literally like that for Rohit Sharma. He had an uphill task, which, in my opinion, he superseded. The way that he's carried this team, the amount of friction there should have been, which wasn't, the amount of animosity that there should have been in this team, which wasn't there, that goes to show the leadership of this man. And if for nothing else, people will remember Rohit Sharma, at least on that side of the border, which is our side of the border, and across the cricketing world, people will remember Rohit Sharma for uniting this Indian team and making sure they come out with a W. He was very close before. This is the moment that he had to seize, and he did it. And man, I'm so pumped for him. I think he's achieved so much. He's been playing cricket for so long. He's Since 2006, 2007, he's been playing cricket. He was in the 2007 Indian team when they won the first inaugural T20 World Cup. And from that all the way to this. Man, you guys got to make movies out of these guys. You know, the Kohli movie, the Sharma movie, that it has to come. Make it a cinematic universe. I don't care. I want to be a part of it. I want to look at it. I want to consume it. These guys are heroes. And it's not only Indian heroes. And I want the Indian people to know this. These guys are not just heroes in India, but they have superseded borders. They have crossed the interstellar planes. And now they are heroes for every cricket fan. And that is coming from, again, a Pakistani cricket fan. So lots of respect to Kohli and Sharma for achieving what they achieved. Gotta talk about Bumrah. I mean, what am I gonna say, man? I've said it all already before. Jasprit Bumrah is a cheat code. Jasprit Bumrah is 100% a cheat code. He was playing a T20 World Cup where his average economy in every single game was 4.8 or something like that. Insane. 15 wickets, player of the series. There's no one better who's doing this. And again, it comes back to the point of how reliable he is. He is Mr. Dependable. In that India-Pakistan game, Sharma knew that whenever Bumrah comes to bowl, he's going to take a wicket. And that's exactly what happened. He took Rizwan's wicket, and from there, the domino fell for Pakistan. Same thing here. They knew that Bumrah would be really tough to attack, and they couldn't get anything off of him. They couldn't get anything off of Bumrah. And him saving those runs gave Pandya the confidence to defend 16, which he did. And man, Jasprit Bumrah is genuinely, with fast bowlers, at least as Pakistanis, you're used to aggression. You're used to Faseem Akram and Shoaib Akhtar's long hair and Shaheen Afridi's signature pose and, you know, Naseem Shah. And like, you're used to that kind of aggression. But then Jasprit Bumrah comes out and he's like literally the nicest guy in cricket. Genuinely, every single time I've seen this guy on camera, he is just like, I want to be friends with him. He gives that kind of a vibe. He's like a guy that would just be fun to hang out with. And on the side, he's one of the greatest bowlers that India has ever produced. I mean, he's winning at life. He's winning at life. And I have to hand it to him. This Indian team wouldn't be nowhere without Jasprit Bumrah. The fact that India was unbeaten in this tournament has a lot, I want to say 50 to 60% has to do with how Bumrah was just carrying these guys on his back. And that's no knock on Arshdeep or Yadav or any of these guys. Like, there's just always that one guy that's the guy. And that was Bumrah for India. And honestly, what a clinical and all-around performance from these guys. I'm at a loss of words, and still I've made it to 30 minutes. I'm at a loss of words at how amazing this performance was from India. They deserve the World Cup. They deserve the happiness that they get. They deserve everything. It's because of the system that they have in place. It's because of the constant, amazing cricket that they've been playing since 2017. Since that Champions Trophy, even before that, if you want to go back, the past decade and a half of Indian cricket should be studied. It should be put under a microscope, deconstructed, and applied to every single board. That the way that they found a prosperous way to make money for their board, for their players, and to keep producing talent and churning out talent, it's amazing. And what is most interesting about this whole event is the fact that now Kohli and Sharma have put in the hat for T20Is. There's a 2026 T20 World Cup coming in India, and it's the young'uns. It's their team now. It's Pandya, it's Arshdeep, it's Bumrah, it's these guys, and they're going to be leading them into the future. And that's what I want to see. What I will miss, though, is the battle between Shaheen and Sharma, the battle between Naseem and Kohli. Next time India and Pakistan play in a T20 World Cup, or whenever, in whatever capacity, Sharma and Kohli will not be there. And as a fan of this rivalry, as someone who puts this rivalry ahead of all sports rivalries, in my opinion, that's going to be tough. And that's going to be tough. And this is probably how the generation before me felt when Sachin was retiring and when Shoaib Akhtar retired and that rivalry that they had, and when Afridi retired, and all those guys, like there comes an end of an era, and this feels like an end of one, and it makes me feel like I'm getting really old, honestly. Um, Another thing that I wanted to mention was that the goodbye felt very reminiscent to me of the Jayawardene Sangakkara goodbye in the 2014 World Cup. Man, those guys were legends for that team, and unfortunately, since their departure, Sri Lanka has really not found those heights. And in this case, I think India will continue going on that upward trend. And that's because of the system, like I said before, and the players that they're leaving behind. These are a special bunch of people. Like, imagine this. Jaiswal didn't even play a single game in this World Cup. He was on the bench the entire time. That guy is the future of Indian cricket. Gill was a reserve. Future of Indian cricket. Like, the domination of Indian cricket is not even at its peak right now. I think it's still riding the upward trend, and we haven't even seen the peak yet. And as a Pakistani cricket fan and a Canadian cricket fan, to be honest, that scares me. Go on and making. I want Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma to go on. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, lots of words. I've been talking continuously for 35 minutes. I want them to go on into the T20 retirement as peaceful as possible. The 2025 Champions Trophy in Pakistan might be the last time we see Sharma and Kohli in white ball, period, full stop. That's something we have to come in terms with. I do hope that Team India comes to Pakistan. I would love to see Kohli play in Pakistan. I think that is one thing as a cricket fan that I have not seen ever. And I think that's one thing that's like just not, that's one notch that he hasn't completely filled. And I want him to get that on his belt. You know, that notch, just like, oh yeah, I played in Pakistan too. Done. There will come a day where Virat Kohli retires from red ball and Rohit Sharma retire from red ball, and they would not have played Pakistan in test matches, which is its own trauma, I think. If you think about it, some of the best moments we've gotten in India-Pakistan rivalry have been in tests. Irfan Pathan's first over hat trick, Shoaib Akhtar's back-to-back wickets for Dravid, and Tendulkar, Sehwag's 3-1-3 against Pakistan and Multan. It's just, the list goes on and on and on. Mohammad Asif's spell. And I feel like we got deprived of the Kohli and Rohit Sharma-ness of that, of like a 5-test red ball series between India and Pakistan. And when it comes to it, we will talk about it. But right now, I think I wish them the best. Backward Point wishes these two the best T20 retirement ever. I'm pretty sure we're going to see them a lot more in IPLs, and that's interesting to me now. That just gives me more stakes and makes me want to watch the IPL more. What's next for South Africa? Before we round it up, I do want to touch on them. I think they should be very proud with their campaign. They had a very fruitful campaign. They had a huge monkey on their back that they finally forego, and they went into the final, and they actually played a very, very good final. I think the way that they went for the chase and at one point were going to win this game just shows you the fact that South Africa was a formidable side. It wasn't a one-sided affair at all. They had their eye on the ball and they just almost let it go. I think this is a huge learning curve for South Africa. I think they have a huge future ahead of them as well. They have some of the best hitting talent that I've seen in a very long time. They should make it back in the top 4 in 2026. 100%. That's going to be my bet. If they keep continuing on this trajectory, they have a solid team. They have a good bowling attack. They have a good middle order attack as well. I just think that maybe Markham needs to step up his game a little bit. Maybe he needs to make sure that he's there more often in crucial moments for South Africa, like Kohli was today and Sharma was previously. And I think they'll be good. I have no doubt that the South African team will make a comeback. They will probably be a surprising factor in the 2026 World Cup, something to keep an eye out on. And I wish them the best. Honestly, it was sad to see So many grown men crying from the Proteas camp. I think I felt really bad for Miller. I felt really bad for Klaassen, for my boy Markram. I felt bad for all of these guys. But then on the other side, you could see just a sea of blue men crying, and it was happiness and joy and jubilation, and that made me happy. Um, I think that's it for me. Is there anything I'm forgetting? I'm just gonna check my notes real quickly. But I think that's about the roundup that I had. It was a wonderful game of cricket. In my opinion, this T20 World Cup was genuinely one of the best. And that's coming again from a Pakistani cricket fan whose team got knocked out in the first round, as a Canadian cricket fan whose team again got knocked out in the first round. I still think this World Cup was an amazing, amazing feat. We got moments where USA beat Pakistan, Afghanistan beat Australia. Australia was relying on Bangladesh at one point. Afghanistan also beat out New Zealand. New Zealand got out. West Indies were fun whenever they were in the tournament. So it's been a great ride, and I really like this format. I hope they continue with it in 2026. I would like to see something of this nature happen in the ODI World Cup as well. Expand that from 10 teams to 12 or 14, and just give me more of this. Give me more of this. I think this is a lot of fun. It really helps when just like teams are trying their best, even if they're associate teams, and you can see their progress. Like Netherlands, USA, Scotland, Nepal, these teams, they're formidable. And I want to see them more in the bilateral circuit. And, we've already said this many times, the bilateral circuit should be a trilateral circuit, or a quadrangular cup situation. Make it more interesting so these non World Cup games are also interesting. And the way you do that is you get these associate teams involved, you make them better, and you just get bigger pool of teams that are good. And it makes it more interesting because you get more upsets. I think we tried our best in this campaign to be fair, to not be as biased as we could. Obviously, you can't help it when you're Pakistan cricket fans, so you have to lean towards that. We tried to make it as fair as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed our run with this campaign. We're going to be taking a few days off. It's been a hell of a campaign, and it's a lot of hard work on this side of the camera, and it's a lot of hard work with Bashar making notes and our editing team and everything. We have some really, really exciting things in the pipeline. I can't announce anything yet. Nothing's confirmed, but there is talks with a certain league in North America, and we're hoping that that deal gets knocked in so we can announce it to you guys and then carry that momentum forward. We love our fans, and even the ones that can be a bit disrespecting and that can be mean, we do know that it comes from a place of love for this game, which we have to respect regardless. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little covers that we had. Again, I was doing the solo podcast. Please go easy on me in the comments. I tried my best. I had notes in front of me, tried to be as accurate as possible. But again, when you watch Backward Point that one side is going to be emotional, one side is going to be logical. And today you got all the emotions, guys. When Pak Bashar shows up next, my idea is to do a Rohit Sharma episode and a Virat Kohli episode. So if you guys are Indian fans, stay tuned for that. We're going to break down the top 5 innings in T20Is for them. I can already tell you the number 1 innings for me for Kohli is the MCG innings, but that was a spoiler for what's coming ahead. And don't forget to subscribe, guys. We're hitting 50,000 very, very soon, and that's going to be its own thing. We might do a Q&A for that. We're about to hit 100 episodes on this podcast. We might do a Q&A for a lot of things are happening. A lot of milestones are in the works. We're just really happy to be here and appreciate your love and support. And yeah, take care of you guys. Congratulations, Team India, on winning the T20 World Cup. And see you guys in the next episode. Cheers.